Hello and welcome to SI Tutorials. My name is Anthony Williams and I will be your host. In this video I'm going to show you how to fill out the roster. It's the attendance roster for the SI sessions, and it basically includes everything for the live SI sessions as well as the recordings. So what you're essentially looking at here is a list of all the learners from all 17 sections that we have this quarter. There are a total of 407 learners in this course, and the idea here is basically to, as you can see up here, it has a place for your date. So we're just going to put in, let's see, our first live session was 10/9, so just type in 10/9 and it's going to change it to 9th of October there, but you can put it in easily. And then the next one was 10/10, and that was our first week. Now of course if you have 3 sessions during the week, then you would just fill in the requisite date for the third one. I usually just put NA in here because there is no third session. I don't only run 2 sessions a week, so there is no third session. And week 2 was 10/15 and 10/17. And right now we don't have, we're in week 2, or we're just beginning week 3 now, so this basically goes through the first 2 weeks. So I have sort of engineered an easy way to, because basically what you have to do here is you're going to open up your find feature. Okay, just put it up here at the top, and then you're going to sign into your login to your home page on Adobe Connect. Go through all those steps that Chrome makes you do now. And you're basically going to go up here to meetings, and then you're going to click on if you're doing your live sessions, you're going to click on your actual instruction room, your SI room. If you're doing recordings, you're going to do recording room. We're actually going to start with recording room because I'm going to show you this trick that makes it just a little bit easier. Once you click on that, go up here to recordings, to reports, and click on reports. This is going to load the page for getting all of your, now I usually do it by attendees. You can also do it by sessions and by questions. By attendees is the easiest way to go about it. It's essentially going to list all of your attendees, and it's going to give you the date and the times that they were in the room. And so we want to go to essentially anytime after your first meeting of the week. Okay, so our first meeting for week 1 was on the 9th of October, so we're going to scroll down to the 9th of October. Oops, a little far there. Okay, so we don't have anything for the 9th, but we do for the 10th. Oh, and that of course is because the recording for the 9th did not actually take, it had no audio. And so that's why we're starting on the 10th here. So let's pretend that our first session of the week was on October the 10th, and essentially you know what time you went in and posted the link for you posted the link in the recording room for the live session that you just had. That's because you'll do that after your live session every night that you have a live session. As soon as it's processed, you'll change it to public, and then you'll take the URL and you'll post it into your recording room so everybody has access to it. And so basically you start after you go in. I went in around this time here, and basically you're going to highlight everything up through before your session starts the following week, before your first session of the following week. So the first session of the following week was on the 15th, and we know that it starts at 7:30. This is all in Central Standard Time, by the way. And so we're going to scroll up here, and we're going to find the 15th. Okay, so there's the 15th. Now you see that you have AMs, and that's okay because you basically want to get everybody in there. These are all people watching the recordings from the previous week. You do all your recordings for 1 week all together. And you're basically going to get everyone who, because you can see this one at the top right here, is basically when I'm coming in and putting in the next meeting. So you don't have to, you basically go and you highlight everything, everyone up to that point. Okay, go ahead and copy it. And then you're just going to open a Word document and you're just going to paste it right in there. And now the reason I do this, because, for example, you can see here, this person has been in there 3 times. Okay, this person has been in there twice, at least. Okay, you can see like Angelica Pierce is in here several times. So essentially what you want to do is you want to take out each of those people as you add them. Let's expand this for a moment. You essentially want to go up to replace, and you want to open that dialog window. Okay, you can minimize this. And so basically the only things while you're doing this that you're going to have open is your list of attendees in the Word document and your Excel document, which is the attendance roster. Okay, and so all you do is you essentially go in here, you highlight this, you copy it. And now as you go through, as you do this week by week, it gets a little bit easier. You get to know the students' names. And so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type this person's last name in here, and I'm going to click Find Next. And you can actually click, you can put Capers in there and then just hit the Enter button. It'll do the same thing. And so you can see here it's highlighted her name. Make sure that the names are right. You know, if you have another person with the last name Capers, obviously you want to make sure that you have the right first name as well. And then you simply scroll over to the first day. Okay, we know we didn't have any meetings on the 9th. Well, we did, but we know those didn't take. But we're doing recordings now, so we want to go all the way over to the recordings column, and we want to put an X in there. And that's simply all you do. And then you want to go up here and you want to Control V, so you want to paste that person's name into the Find section, and you want to go Replace All. So it was just one replacement, and that's annoying. We're going to turn that off. And then you go to the next person, and you'll see here in a second why I do it this way. So let's do Holmes. Find Next. Okay, that's Paul, so that's right. Scroll over to the recording for that week. Put your X in there. And go up here, Control V, Replace All. Now see, that made 2 replacements. So that means that Paul Holmes was actually in there, and that was probably him right here. And it's taken those names out because you only want to look them up once. If you look them up, if you have to continue to look them up again and again and again, it gets a lot more tedious than it already is. And so this helps get rid of that problem. Okay, let's go to the third one. I know there was a lot of these in here, and this is you anyway, so haha. So we're just going to go Valdez. Let's go Valdez like that, because there's a lot of Valdez's in there too. So Find Next. Okay, now you're not going to show up in here, obviously. It's actually highlighting this very first one because that's where your name is. It's because you're not a learner in the class, so you're not actually listed in the roster. But I still want to remove your name from this, so I'm going to Control V over here in the Word document, Replace All, and we made 5 replacements this time. Okay, now Keon. Now that's going to be problematic. This is why I urge everyone to sign in with their first and last names according to what they are registered with at Capella. And a lot of people just ignore me, and they do that instead. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put Keon over here, and we're going to look up Keon. Okay. Now it's a different name, so there's probably no other Keon in here. But if it was Bruce or something like that, you would want to hit Find Next a couple times and make sure that you don't have more than one person with that name in your roster. If you do, you obviously have a problem. What I usually do is I just don't mark that person because I don't know which one it is. And so I let that one just kind of, we lose that data, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way it's got to work out. Because if I put in the wrong one, it's going to, the analysis is going to be off because of that person. It's going to be off by however much. You know, it just depends on whether or not these people actually show up for the SI meetings or not. And so if I X one that actually didn't show up for the SI meetings, then I'm messing with the data in a way I don't want to do. It would be better just to not put that person in there at all than to do it like that, I think. So put the X in there, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to Control V, and we're going to replace all. Okay, and that's essentially that's the process. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to save this. I'm not going to save this one because I already have one called roster, and I neglected to pull that out. I've actually opened a brand new document, so we're just going to leave that one alone. What I normally do is I actually have a document called roster, and it's already named and everything, so all you have to do is click the save button and it's saved. You know, when you have all those names in there, anytime I get up and walk away from my computer, I just make sure I save it in case something goes wrong. So going back to the list of names, okay, you can see there's quite a few of them. Getting them for the meetings is a lot easier. You're going to go the same way. You're going to go to meetings, but you're going to go to your supplemental instruction room instead. You're going to click on reports, and you're going to click on attendees. Now the nice thing about this is you know exactly when your meeting took place. So we're going to look up October 9th and see if, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be listed in here because it was another room, so it shouldn't be in here. Okay, so we have nothing for October 9th, but we do have, we have a few of them, people who showed up, but there was nothing going on in there. So basically you find where you started your meeting. As you see, I was in here quite a few times, just, you know, setting things up, getting things ready for the meeting, but you can look at your timestamp and see what time it is. So I know I was in there around 4:30, and my meeting didn't start that quickly. My meeting didn't start until here. Okay, we can see I went from 7:08 to 8:43, so that was the entire meeting there. Now, you want to go a little bit before that because, see, this person was also in there at 7:08 to 7:51, 7:07 to 7:52, etc. So essentially you want to grab those people, just those couple actually, but you want to grab those people based on the time that they left. So these people were obviously here for a minute and saw some of the meeting, and then they left. So go up, and you're gonna scroll up through here until you find your name again, essentially. That's going to be the easiest way to locate it, to see we're still on 10:10. Yeah, we're on 10:11. Okay. So essentially we're going to want to look here and see, you know, we know that the meeting ended at 8:30 or 9 o'clock rather. So anything where anybody is in there from that time, so we have, this person was here for not even 15 minutes, but we're going to count her anyway. And then when you go up above that, you can see this person was in there after 9 o'clock. The meeting was already over. After 9 o'clock, etc. Now, if you see one, you basically want to grab the people who where their timestamps show them as being sandwiched into the meeting. So even if they only look at the meeting for like 5 minutes, you still want to include them. And a lot of times these people are going to pop in and out. I don't know that we have, well, for example, the Naeem, we have this person in here twice, 3 times. So you can use the same process. However, you only want to do one meeting at a time or one recording week at a time. And the reason for that is if I was to go ahead and take all of these and copy and paste them right in here, I'm going to be having my meeting as well as my recordings all in the same document. And so when I do this search and I replace, it's going to replace people in both places. So I'm going to lose data that way. So you only want to do one recording week at a time in your document, in your Word document. That's if you use this process. I'm just showing you this process because it's a lot easier than having this window open and just scrolling through and trying to find, you know, how many times are you going to look up this person in your roster to see if, you know, and to look and see, to make sure that you put an X next to their name. Because once you've done them once and you go through a bunch of more other names, if you run into that name again, you're going to go, oh, well, I'm not really sure if I put an X, if I mark that person as attending. And so putting it in the document actually gets rid of that problem because you're only looking at each name one time. But you want to make sure that you only do one live meeting at a time or one recording week at a time. And so when you're done, now I actually go in and I save these. Let me show you exactly how I save these. I put them in a folder by themselves called Attendance Roster. I put them by quarter and year. Okay, so right now I only have week 2. If I go back to week 3, however, quarter 3, you can see that I have a roster for every 2 weeks is essentially when I send the rosters in. So I'll basically when I go to use this one for week 4, and I'm going to fill out those 2 weeks, so week 3 and 4, when I'm filling those 2 weeks in, I simply open week 2 roster, and then I go in here and I save as, and I'm going to save it as everything's going to be the same except the very last, it's going to say week 2 or week 4 instead of week 2, and that ensures that you're building on what you already had. In other words, you're gonna have all the information from up to week 2 in there already, and then you're gonna add weeks 3 and 4 to it, and then you'll do the same thing for week 6, week 8, and week 10. Let's see here. I think that's really all there is to it. You know, of course, make sure you save your work as you go through it, or you may. You know, something may happen and you may lose the data and then you have to start all over again. So make sure you save early and often, as it were. And I think that's really it as far as showing you how to do the roster. And of course, if you have any questions, Sherry, just let me know. Just send me an email, or when we have our weekly meeting, you can ask me then. And I will give you this information as soon as it's processed. And thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.